Welcome to episode 5 of Newfoundland Lens. Again, it's myself, Michael Windsor, and co-host Cory Babstock.
Morning.
So today we're going to talk about amazing landscapes that we have here on the island. We actually did up a list of our favorite places, top 10 ranked, and Cory has a list there as well. We're just so blessed here in Newfoundland with so many different landscapes for taking pictures. It's just kind of mind-blowing. So I guess first of all, we'll let Cory go and pick his first one.
Well, I'm kind of interested to see, because we should mention that we did these lists without consulting each other at all. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how many overlaps we have, of places that we really like to shoot. So yeah, I'm going to start at 10, but I want to be clear too, though, that this is not in any way mean that 10 is going to be any better than 1 or 5 or any number on the list. These are all great places to go. So much of it depends on the time of the year and the lighting and what's going on. Well, one of my first places actually that I shot any kind of landscape stuff was down in Eastport, on the Eastport Peninsula, especially Eastport Beach and Sandy Cove Beach. Depending on which side you're on, you get a really good sunrise or a really good sunset. And the water is usually pretty good there too for like long exposure type stuff. So yeah, Eastport. That's my number 10.
Yeah, so Eastport, I've been there. Got a really nice beach there. It's
Beautiful.
and I think a couple of times, yeah, the iceberg came in that way.
So I'm going to give up another place that's on my list by saying this, but yeah, you're right, because Salvage, which is just down the road from Eastport, icebergs come in there all the time. Now that's a little further up on my list, but that Eastport Beach area and Sandy Cove, I kind of lump those two into one because they're 2 minutes away from each other, and they both offer similar but different. Again, they're perfect because they're right opposite each other on the peninsula, so the sun comes up or goes down on either side. It's stunning that way. Yeah.
That's cool. So I guess I got mine listed. I got mine rolled out there, so don't forget. So number 10 for me, and myself and Cory was talking before the podcast actually started. And like you said, we have them ranked, but any place on Newfoundland Island that you go when the light is right is just a photographer's dream anyway. We just should try to come up with a list that kind of, when it comes to, I guess, experiences of what kind of cool pictures you can get while we were there. So I guess number 10 for me, Fogo Island. Fogo is a special place when it comes to a lot of old fishing villages and ridge sheds. I call it the ridge shed capital of the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so like on a nice calm day, you get nice reflections and all that stuff. And out in tilting out in Fogo, you get a lot of the older boats that's in the grass, and it's really nice and place to go.
Also a great spot for icebergs as well once they're in season.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it comes right down, we call it the Iceberg Alley.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Fogo's gorgeous. Like, I've not gone out there in, geez, gotta be 5 or 6 years since I've been there, or longer. I was out there for a wedding and spent a really, really rowdy weekend in Fogo. But it was, yeah, it's like stepping back in time in a lot of ways. It's one of those places where the old Newfoundland culture really, and buildings and structure and all that still has maintained over the decades. So you
Yeah.
get a flavor of the past, I find out there. Yes, fantastic spot.
That, as with the Newfoundland, the Fogo Island Inn out there now has caused a
Excellent.
lot of great tourism and people to go
Yeah.
out there and see it.
See,
Yeah, but it is a great spot for taking any landscape pictures or scenery pictures, anything like that.
yep.
All right, over to you.
Oh, yeah, me. Geez, I got to talk again. So number 9, believe it or not, it's right here where I live in Clarenville. Now, people don't often think about Clarenville as a great spot for landscape photos. It's more like a urban, semi-urban place. But when the sun comes up, especially down on our waterfront, there's a set of stages and everything down there that's brightly colored, and the sun rises right behind them. When it's calm, you get a great reflection, and it's just a very, very nice scene, and it's one that I love to shoot, and I shoot quite often. So if you're ever driving through on the highway around about early in the morning or later in the evening, take a 2-minute dart off, and just down on the waterfront by the shipyard there, beautiful, beautiful spot.
Down there by, well, Mercer's Marine.
Yeah, same that road, and it's also, that place, it's not landscape, but, take the opportunity. That place is a really good spot for bald eagles. They really hang out down there a lot. That's where I got some of my best bald eagle shots is down on that stretch too, but for landscape, like I said, that one area, there's about 4 or 5 brightly colored stages there. Fantastic.
All right, so back to me. So I'll go with number 9. I said Battle Harbor. So
Yeah.
so anyone, like, is not aware of Battle Harbor, it's it used to be considered the capital of Labrador way back in the early 1900s, because any fish or fishing merchants was all done through that place,
Yep.
and they still have all the original buildings. So even they got a place called the Pork Store, and and salt. So they go and they trade a fish for pork and all that good stuff. And it's still the same floorboard. So when you walk in there, the floor is still sticky. It sticks to it because all the salt and stuff kind of soak in through the wood. And the place is, if you ever want to like get away from your busy life, definitely you go there and it's like a whole new world just outside of everything.
Darlene and I are actually we were spitballing the, idea of visiting Battle Harbor this fall, actually. So I'm gonna pick your brains on that a little later. I've not been there yet, but it's, certainly a place that's high on my bucket list.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And when the evening goes down and the lights comes on,
Yeah.
I got a shot from across the harbor. I guess going to bring me over there. And if you go in August, late August, you'll get a lot of bake apples.
Oh, nice.
I mean, like everywhere. You can just
Yeah,
sit and just bake apples all
the
day.
old Labrador Big Apples, yeah.
Yeah, so Battle Harbor for sure is up there, and number 9, I think that's it.
Yep.
So, all right, so back to you again.
So number 8 is pretty close to my number 10, and I did mention it, it's Salvage. A lot like Fogo, it has that real old Newfoundland feel. This right behind me here actually is in Salvage. Um, some of the nicest sunsets I've ever seen. There's structures like this down there that you can capture at sunset, but there's also some islands that are just offshore that are really nice to capture in sunset. Lots of old wharfs and stages and anchors and lobster pots and all that character of Newfoundland stuff. Um, yeah, really, really, really nice spot. And as an aside to visit, there's a new brewery and restaurant down there now in the old fish plant.
Oh,
So it's worth the drive down just for that. But I mean, from a landscape standpoint, yeah, it's up there. Uh, I kind of struggle with putting it 7, but you gotta place these things somewhere.
yeah. That when it comes to Salvage, I've been there a few times. And there's out on the point there's like there's 3 older homes there. Really, that's really cool. And I still haven't figured out the right composition for that yet, like how to get it all in there. But I'm gonna have to go back again.
So, did you hike up to the top of the hill,
I hiked up
just past the
there too.
fish plant there? That's a really cool shot up there at sunset of those, but you gotta
Right.
use a little bit of but, like, it's really good with the 24 to 105. You can get in on it a little bit,
Yeah.
and then incidentally, those 3 houses again are, that's a Airbnb now, and it's for sale if you're interested.
I was also thinking though, like the drones on the go. If you got a drone that kind of fly out that way, it'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely, I got great shots with drone from down there, from up at top of that hill, like, flying the drone out that way. Great. It's really nice to get out if you can get out to the mouth of the harbor and turn the drone around and do, like, a panoramic of the cove itself, is a really nice shot.
Yeah.
It needs to be I did it, like, in the middle of the day, so the lighting wasn't all that great, but it will be
Mm.
something to look at early in the morning or later in the evening for sure.
Um, even though we go there all the time, is Cape Spear.
Yes.
I've been there when it's raining, snowing, like rain coming in sideways.
Yep.
But like even there in the morning, if you really don't get the sun, it's pretty amazing spot. But when you do get the sun come out of the ocean, it's just a magical place.
Yeah.
Fine. That those, especially if you get out there on a certain time when the sun is coming up, like in the spring, and the fog is coming in too. So the fog is burning off while the sun's coming up. It's just pure mind blowing magic in my mind.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so many people that go out there, even if they're not taking pictures, they go out there with a blanket and they'll just kind of watch the sun come out of the ocean. They say it's the furthest, or the most northeasterly point in Newfoundland, and it's the first sunrise in North America, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I've been out there in all kinds of conditions and, you roll the dice and go out there for a sunset, but there's varying degrees of spectacular. I've not been disappointed out there at any time. In the fog, especially if the lighthouses are going and you can get the ray of the light in the fog from the lighthouse, makes for a really good shot. I do want to just interject here because Michael, as you know, we had a tragedy out there last week. If you visit Cape Spear, pay attention to the signs. There's signs that are saying stay on this side of the barrier. I just want to, just a little public service announcement. Pay
Oh, yeah,
attention. Yeah,
absolutely. Same as we talked about when we talked about icebergs, is that if you get too close to the ocean, the waves are comes in, it could just sweep you
yeah,
out the ocean, and there's rocks and stuff in under that you'll never be seen again. So if you go out there, stay further back,
yeah,
especially on rough days, because you don't know what's going to happen out there. And the other thing too, when it comes to Cape Spear, like you just said, like even at sunset or whatever, and if you go out there in the summer, there's a good chance you'll see humpback whales going back
yeah,
and forth.
yeah. Or at very least in the fog, hear them. We were out there this past summer, and while we were doing our shooting, all we could hear was the sound of them blowing. Right,
Yeah,
it was really cool. Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah.
why,
It's,
like,
it's a fantastic spot. It's also nice to be able to look across back to St. John's Harbor and see where everything is in relation to each other. As I always point that out to my guests when I go out there. That that's Signal Hill over there where we will go at some other time, but there you get a distance idea of how it's spread out, which is kind of cool.
mm, that one of the coolest things, like you said, I like is when you're there in the dark and you're waiting for the sun to come up. If you're quiet, you could even hear the humpback whales blowing. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
really cool. Yeah, no, it's a magical spot. Absolutely, should be on any list.
anyway. Well, like, we're out there all the time too, and you think I'd be sick of it, but every time is different. Over to you. Next one.
Yep. So this is my number 7. Um, I gotta say, we usually go. This is a place we usually go to capture the gannets at Cape St. Mary's. And I want to just take up just that little area of Cape St. Mary's. And what's that community that's just down from Cape St. Mary's? It has the beach.
Branch.
Yes, Branch. That area, fantastic. The cliffs in Cape St. Mary's, gorgeous. And when the light is right on those, it's just an amazing photo to take. And just down the road a little bit there in Branch, that beach is really really nice as well. Lots of we did a lot of detail shots down there, but we also did some really good landscape. Again, anywhere where you've got a pretty good sea or a good ocean action happening with those old, like the Newfoundland buildings and the boats and everything in the background makes for a really good shot. Branch is really nice.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, you can go down there and you got you said the cliffs there in Cape St. Mary's is pretty amazing. And I always find Branch is a place that is not well photographed or known, but
Right.
I think it's pretty cool spot.
Absolutely. Like it's one of those sites where you stop and you can find so many different, angles to photograph from there. It's just a lot of fun. That whole southern shore really, and I don't know if you got anywhere on the southern shore on your list or not, but that whole drive down through there, like down to St. Vincent's and up through Portugal Cove South, that area, there's not you can't go wrong there. You can stop pretty much anywhere there and
Yeah,
get a really good landscape photo.
yeah, yeah. That's the problem we got in Newfoundland. It's just too many places to take pictures of.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to narrow down.
All right, so back to me. For me, number 7. In the fall, especially, but anytime that's good. But I find the Humber Valley there in the
Gorgeous.
fall when the leaves changes. Man, it's a magical place. Everything is all lit up. And then if you get the sunset and you get the light coming up through the valley. And I know I said that, but all places over there on the West Coast during the fall blows my mind, like Cots Cove as well, where
Yep.
you go out there, the whole and if you're out we go out and we do, tours and stuff with bald eagles, but if you go out there and it's calm and there's certain places over there, just the big mountains and gets reflection in the ocean, man, it
Yeah,
just
it's
mind
stunning. Like I got to spend a lot more time over there on the West Coast. I went over last year and it was amazing. I went down to Bottle Cove, that area.
Yeah,
Absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, the like big mountains, and you get the reflection down there, and the foliage in the fall is just it's like the place is on fire.
yeah, yeah. It's real one of my
And
favorite
we're pretty
spots.
lucky here. Clarenville area has really good fall foliage as well, like just driving through here. But it's, I always bragged, "Oh, the fall foliage here in Clarenville is awesome." Went over to the West Coast, and I'm like, "Oh, well, okay, we're okay."
I mean,
But the West Coast, yeah, absolutely stunning.
Learn how to capture the best images and develop your camera skills with workshops held in Newfoundland and Labrador's most inspiring natural landscapes. Newfoundland Photo Tours. Book your workshop today.
And so I think we're at number 6 now. This is a new place for me. I was lucky enough to spend a weekend in Gros this past summer, and Gros itself is absolutely stunning, and we could spend a full podcast just talking about where to shoot in Gros. But I'm going to go a bit further up the northern peninsula there and go to Port area. Absolutely love shooting at Port. There's a really nice lighthouse out there. Um, there's the rocks are like a volcanic type rock, and the sun sets right behind the lighthouse. It's a great, great area. Fell in love with it. Hit my list to somewhere I want to go and spend like a 3 or 4 days or longer just to explore around that area. Lots of old historic structures out there. Just magical spot. Really, really enjoyed it. It's just one of those spots you drive to and you go like, "Oh, wow." Or it was the first thing out of my mouth, and I really want to spend all my time there. It was really, really cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah. I was out there too again this fall, and like you said, there's an amazing spot for the lighthouse. And for anyone who don't know it, there's always most of the time there's caribou around too,
Yeah.
so it's still
My
actually it could be a reason to go for the caribou or go for the
Yep.
scenery, but either or.
Lots of foxes too. Like that road to the lighthouse was I think I saw like 10 or 12 foxes on that road to the lighthouse when I was there. It was crazy.
Mm. So back to me, number 6 is Francois. Also known as Francois, which
That's
well,
way.
how do you pronounce it? Actually, they are the locals, but Francois, a lot of people say if you read how it's supposed to pronounce, but down there is actually someone got a sign put up, and they got it spelled Fransway.
That's way. Yeah.
But that place is magical. The fjord down there, it's hard to get to. It's 4 hour boat ride or ferry ride to get down there. But it's one of those places where it just blows your mind because you got the big mountains and this little valley, and there's all kinds of like, little small fishing boats. I think the population is probably 100 or less,
Yeah.
and there's no roads. People go around on quads or bikes, trikes.
It
But
reminds me a lot. It reminds me a lot of what you see pictures of towns stuck in the fjords in like Norway and that area. Look very similar. Just like is a little picturesque town just tucked right into the fjord there. It's pretty cool.
if you could get to if you want to hike to the top of the mountain, which is a no really trail, it's kind of hard hike, but it's a really nice viewpoint up looking
Uh,
down. Or you use drones, just fly up there and get the same
I was
shot.
gonna say, have you done any drone work down there?
Yeah, a drone. I hiked up there too, and
Yeah.
you can't be scared of heights when you're doing it. I
Cool.
was kind of nervous, so I didn't get so close to the edge. My body kind of let me, but
Yeah.
it's a beautiful spot and one of those places that's further away from everything. And besides taking the pictures, there's this experience of and so remote. And one funny story while I was down there is that you're there, and there's probably 100 people total in the community. But on Saturday or Sunday, everyone leaves and goes to the cabin. You gotta get away. Like, they're already
Right.
far away. So, like,
See the city lights. Gotta get out of here.
the population on the weekend is usually 30 people, and then on the weekdays, probably it's it's a cool spot for pictures. So
Yeah.
it's awesome. Over to you.
Yep. So number 5 for me is Twillingate, Twillingate area, in particular Back Harbor. Back Harbor is just a little community within a community in Twillingate, and some of the best sunsets I've ever seen in my life is there in Back Harbor. Again, we talk a lot about things that you can include in your shot, and down there's sometimes a sailboat moored off out in the middle of the harbor. There's some really nice old fishing stages and that there that you can use as a focal point. A lot of them have windows where you can pick up the reflection of the sunset in the windows as well. One of my absolute favorite, if we were just doing something on sunsets, it would be higher on the list. It's like one of my favorite spots in the world to take a sunset photo. And I was going to do this as separate, but I think I can come up with somewhere else. But Sleepy Cove in Twillingate as well, which is on the way to Lighthouse, which is another great spot. But Sleepy Cove is a great spot for a sunset shot as well. Got this really nice island you can use as a focal point. Uh, you were talking about how in Cape Fear people just drive out there to take in the sunrise. Same thing in Twillingate. When I was there, like the locals would, mostly locals, I think, would even drive out, and it was like going to a drive-in. They would just line off with their cars pointing out towards where the sun was setting, and they just watch the sunset. Really, really cool. Really amazing spot.
Yeah, Twilight is a pretty cool spot, and we actually had that on a list of our spring tour this time to go out and see icebergs.
Yes.
So I look
Yeah.
forward to that, of course. I actually got a couple pictures from the last time I was out there, but I didn't edit them yet because there's one with the sunset and the sheds and stuff there. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I got some. I was out with a couple of guests. We did our initial tour out there this past summer, and we just looked right in. We had a brilliant sunset. We got to spend a lot of time down there. She got some really, really good shots, and I got a couple of really good ones too. Um, Not a couple. I mean, you shoot like hundreds, but you pick out one of them from there that is really good, and a couple of them I'm really happy with them. Yeah, because it's great. Anywhere in Twillingate, actually, more broadly, you can drive from Durrell on one end of Twillingate right to the lighthouse, and you'd be hard pressed to pull over anywhere and come up with a bad shot. It's
And
just a really, really good spot. It's got so much going on.
it's funny to say that because when I was trying to come up with like a list of 10, I took the map and I kind of mentally drove around the coastline, right around the
Right.
island. And like every community, I was like, oh yeah, that's a nice picture in that little cove. Oh,
Yep.
that's a nice picture there next to the Tickle. Oh, there's that shed there. And as you're going around, it's hard to pick the particular top ones because every one is just
Well, I
so
think I mentioned before we even started the podcast is difficult because you can drive the highway in Newfoundland or take any exit anywhere and drive to the end of it, and you're going to end up somewhere where there's a fantastic photo,
and it's
and that's
still
part of the fun of it.
there's places like I went a few years ago. I drove down to a community called Raccoon. I'm like, first time I've been there. So I just, do some exploring. And when I went there, there was a shed. I mean, there was a boat that was half sunk in the water. I was like, there's a photo opportunity there for sure.
Right?
But I just
Yeah,
went back in the evening and got it, right? So Newfoundland is, we're blessed with such cool places to fish.
100%.
So my number five, I kind of cheated on this one, but basically anywhere there's an iceberg that shows up.
Yeah,
So like,
you're not wrong.
over the time we had places like Big Iceberg in Fairland or here in Fort Amherst, Upper Amherst Cove, like, or Bonavista, or in 28, any place, there's a rock could get, iceberg could get grounded. It just makes for an amazing picture,
Yeah, well, 100%.
period.
That's not cheating at all. That's an accurate statement to make because you're right. The
Yes.
iceberg becomes the landscape, and it depends on where that is.
Sitting there right in Bonavista or wherever it is, you got their landscape with an iceberg in it. It's like cherry on top.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, back to you.
I got to say, number 4 is on the Burin Peninsula, especially Bay Largent area. There's bigger mountains down there than you would think. Like the hills are quite big. Get brilliant sunsets. Really old fishing communities. In particular, just down from Bay Largent, there's a sea stack with a solitary tree on top of it at sunset. Gorgeous shot. Beautiful stone beach, but with that sea stack with the tree on top of it, just for that focal point, I could go down there every day and take that shot and be happy every single time.
Yeah, Bay Largent is a cool spot. Like, so you got the shits there and the water, and you got the
Yeah,
little hills in the back and stuff. And there's always kind of, I know one year there was big run of mackerel on the beach, and there
bald
was
eagle.
like all kinds of bald eagles showed up. Probably 20 of them down there on the beach.
I have a photo with 12 in one shot of eagles
Yeah.
on the beach, and we counted. It's probably the same time that you're talking about. 'Cause myself and another local photographer, we counted 70 eagles that we could see in that bay. It was everywhere you looked, there was like a white dot up in the tree from the edge. And we said, well, there's probably even more because you couldn't even see the immatures down there.
The cool thing is that when we go for these landscape pictures, you never know what kind of wildlife you're gonna bump
Right.
into.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. There's whales quite often down there as well. And seals. There's lots, but from a landscape standpoint, shocking. I should. Do you remember the name of the community that's just past Bay Argent where that sea stack is? Little Bay, I think it might be.
I think so.
Yeah, that area there, that community itself and that sea stack is magical. Worth the drive down there just for that. That's why I rank it so high. It's just when you see that for the first time, you're like, "Holy crap! How'd that tree survive?"
Yeah. Alright, back to me. So number 4, probably one of my favorite places for sunrises, or I said Cape Spear, but above that, I would say is Cable John Cove. When the sun comes up there with a nice light and you get all those sea stacks that you were saying, and the rugged landscape and cliffs is just
Yeah,
and everyone that brings out the photography tours, they're always, blown away by how cool it is. When he walks, well, he usually tries to walk in front of him. I like seeing people's expressions, and then they look and they're looking around, and their eyes are open, and they're like, "Wow!" And
yeah.
makes us like it's showing off our home feel good sort of thing.
It's a brilliant spot. You're right, and in the morning, especially if there's a low hanging mist or something on the water too, and you get that really, the diffused sun right through that. It's unreal. And that sea stack is one of the best sea stacks on the island.
Because of the chimney.
Yeah, for good reason. It looks
Nice,
like it. Yeah,
look
yeah,
chimney for
absolutely.
sure. Now I said Cape Jonico, but all around there, the dungeons is kind of close by.
Yep,
I want to kind of put them together, and I really like that spot too. You get
yep,
down on the beach, and you get a lot of the rugged rocks, and you get the slower exposure. Put on an ND filter or something, and you get a nice silky smooth kind of ocean water look, which is
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. No, absolutely. That whole area, you can't go wrong, and you don't know that might show up on my list here in a minute, but we'll we'll see. What I like so far though, Michael, there hasn't been a lot of overlap between my favorite spots and your favorite spots, which is
No,
fantastic.
Newfoundland is our favorite spot. Eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Newfoundland on the whole.
Yeah. Okay, over to you, I guess.
Yeah, so I can't believe it. We're down to number three, and number three is really just across the bay from me, and that's Random Island. Lots of old fishing communities down to Random Island. I particularly like going down Petley. There's lots of old heritage houses down there that are really good to include in a landscape photo. You got Hickman's Harbor over on the other side there, which again, traditional Newfoundland fishing village, uh, really nice harbor. If you get a chance though, it's landscape, yes, but from the sea. If you can get the Zodiac out of there, and I've done Zodiacs out of there, and you get out into that arm, some of the most beautiful cliffs and sea stacks and sea caves that you can get. Uh, yeah, it's a fantastic spot, and every one of those little communities you go down into is another photo opportunity. What I like about it being on both sides, so you can chase the light a little bit. If the light is bad on Hickman's Harbor, you go over to Pitley, and it's magical. Yeah, really good spot. That's where I kind of cut my, and one reason it's so high is kind of cut my landscape and photographic teeth, so to speak, on Random Island, and I still go over there on the regular and never get sick of it.
Vanderbilt was cool. I've been over there a few times. I think I was over there chasing foxes, actually, fox kids.
Yeah, lots of those. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Random Island and other places are cool too, for sure.
Yeah.
Back to me. You mentioned it earlier in brief, but probably number 3 for me is Cove.
Yeah.
If you go there, you can go and there's a hike. You can go to the right and you go up on top of the hill and shoot down over the whole scenery.
Yeah.
Uh, just it's just cool when there's sunset. Every place in Newfoundland is either a sunrise place or a sunset place to get the best light. And Cove is a sunset place. And when the sun comes in the right, man, I had some people over there doing a photo shoot for clothes from New York there
Yeah.
last fall, and they were just blown away. And they said they've been like Morocco and everywhere, and they said Balico was way up there on their top of their list of places they've been.
Even on the way out to Bottle Cove too, the mountains and everything, along the way, through York Harbor and that area,
Yeah,
very, very nice. And there's lots of opportunities too of wharfs and fishing stages along that little trip out to Bottle Cove too. It's fantastic.
Balico was up there for sure.
Yeah.
In the fall, if I goes over that way, you got to make a special hour drive out there just to see what you can get.
Yeah, so I went in there 2 nights in a row chasing that sunset that everybody talks about, and unfortunately, I got a no sunset the first the first day, and the second day was an okay sunset, but it wasn't the fireworks that I was looking for, but all that means is that I gotta go back there again. I have no problem
Oh
with that.
yeah.
Yeah,
When we were out there with the people from New York, like I said last fall, it was cloudy, and I was waiting for it, and there was a little this, opening on horizon where the sun could pop through just where it went
sure.
there. So it was
Yeah,
waiting and waiting and waiting. But when they hit that spot and everything turned up purple, and it
yeah,
was just one of those magical moments.
yeah, absolutely. And that's it's funny because as we rank these, I think the part of the things we rank them based on is the experience we had there the day of, or, in our visits. And, this it's a good point to explain to people that you might go out there and be all psyched because we're here telling you that this is gonna be the best sunset on earth. But if the conditions don't line up just right, you might not get that fireworks show, but that's the joy of nature. You can't predict it, but we can put you in the very best spots that we know where when it does happen, you're gonna get a home run.
And the saying that too is that just because it's a sunset doesn't mean it's gonna be a better picture, because we have beautiful pictures that's even in fog and stuff like
Yeah.
Bonavista. I guess that kind of moody thing and all
Yep.
that too, right? So we kind of work with what we got, sort of thing. Some days it's better than others, like anything, but it, the scenery itself is beautiful.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm. Back to you, right? I
Yeah,
think.
so if I got my math right, I think we're at number 2 now.
Yeah, I think so.
And number 2, I'm gonna talk about a place you talked about as well, but I'm gonna talk about the whole area, and that's Bonavista. Um, Anywhere from the lighthouse right out through to John Cable Cove to Elliston, that whole region. Again, being out at the tip of a peninsula, you can chase the sun out there pretty good too. Rises on one side, sets on the other. Elliston area sun for sunrises is fantastic. Like you said, John Cable Cove, magical for sunrises. Sunsets on the other side on the road to the lighthouse area, where you all those fishing stages and everything are too is there next to the Dairy King. Really nice sunsets there. Spectacular. The lighthouse itself, spectacular sunsets. And the town itself is just full of these colorful old historic properties that just makes for a photography dream. There's a reason why we make that one of our most regular spots that we go to. It's got everything, and that's no lie. From the landscapes to the buildings to the wildlife. I mean, Bonavista is an absolute dream.
Yeah. And like you said, that's why, keep going back, and things are so easy to photograph there. And there's no, like, we always have things to photograph down there. You don't run out of things.
Right.
There's just so many areas out there to take pictures of
Yep.
besides the puffins, the whales, the icebergs, and, it's just it is a magical place for sure.
100%. Yeah.
All right. So back to me. So number two, getting close enough to number one, but number two is the Western Brook Island from the top.
Yeah.
Myself and my dad actually hiked up there probably 10 years ago. I'm probably lying now. It was probably one of the hardest hikes I ever did because we went up there and brought our camera gear and tent and all that stuff.
I've heard that.
And the flies, and it was raining too. So like it was all this hot, and trying to keep all the moisture was inside. It was just brutal. And like I said, flies, mosquitoes, they start going up my nose, and that was that was
Misery.
bad. It was funny because my dad is a door person, and he moves hunting and all that good stuff.
Right.
But when we got up there and after we got the tent, they said it was like thought it was in hell.
It's
Putting up,
I can see Peter saying that.
but
It's bad if Peter's complaining though. That's
yeah. But when we got up there, and then the sun, man, it was mind blowing. Beautiful it was.
yeah.
We had set up our tent, so we had like $1 million view, and that's definitely number two. And I always like the fjords with the big landscapes. And anyone can look online. I'll try to get some of these pictures and put up on as well. You can see look down through the valley, the fjord.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool because it's cool that you mentioned that because there's two in my mind, there's like a couple of there's no such thing as a standard landscape. There's huge landscapes, which is what you're talking about. You get these huge vistas. Then there's very almost intimate landscapes where you're just taking a shot of a wharf or a stage or something smaller or more compact. It's all considered landscape because you're shooting, within the landscape primarily, but the range from, say, something like this behind me to, shot from up the top of Western Brook Pond there, that's, the scale is massive
Yeah.
and the difference is massive, but they're all beautiful.
Yeah. And just to say, like, you're hiking up there. I noticed it was misery going up there. It's because it was raining. You
Yeah.
can't go up there today on a sunny. It's still hard. There's a whole day. I'll hate to get up there and get back down. And it's kind of a steep too. So when you're coming down, you're sliding down on your butt basically on the way down. But like I said, when you get up there, the view is it's just mind blowing for sure.
I've not done it, but I've talked to hundreds of people who have done it, and I've never had one person say, "Well, that was easy." So,
But the other way to get in too, which is not physically challenging, not too bad. You can go into wintertime on a snowmobile,
yeah.
and it's a 3 hour drive in on a snowmobile. So there's a bit of bouncing on the way and hitting the bumps and stuff, but you don't have to walk so much.
Have you done that one?
I did that one too, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Cool.
was an amazing trip. And coming back in the nighttime because I wanted to get the blue hour. Um,
Right.
so we went there with a big group of people. So coming back though was beautiful night. And it was so calm and it was just one of the nicest ride on a snowmobile ever. So
Awesome.
3 hours coming back in the dark. It was pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. But definitely Western Brook Pond. And even if you go there, you could take a boat ride and just
Yep.
go through the fjord and come back out. It's nice.
And that's what I was gonna say, that I walked when I was over there on the West Coast, I didn't take the tour, but I just walked in on the boardwalk there a little bit, and you can get some really cool really nice photos from there too, just from ground level looking up, right?
Oh, yeah, you even looking in true is nice.
Yeah.
And if you got a shuttle there now, they can actually go drive into the beginning of it. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, they've tried to make it as accessible as they could to as many people as they can, which is fantastic.
All right. Yeah.
Alright, so this is the big numero uno, number 1.
Well, number two, yeah, I think.
No?
Oh, yeah, yeah, number one. That's right.
No.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, number one.
yeah, number 1 for me. So, number 1 for me, Michael kinda let the cat out of the bag there earlier, he mentioned Tickle Cove. So on the Bonavista Peninsula, there's a little side road that has 3 communities. It's Open Hall, Redcliffe, and Tickle Cove. That is my favorite 3 community stretch on the whole island. Every one of them feels a little bit different, but each one of them offers something that's fantastic. Open Hall, there's icebergs sometimes come right into Open Hall and ground in there, which was fantastic. But there's a couple of really old abandoned homes there to make for focal points for your photography. The sunset's right behind them. Fantastic. Redcliffe itself, small community, really old buildings in the forefront. I'm going to talk a lot about sunsets here because they're all spectacular. Redcliffe, and what for my money is the best sunset on that of those 3 communities because you have those again those old buildings that you can use to frame and highlight. Some really cool geology there as well. It looks like first time I drove down there, it looked like I said to my wife, I said it looks like dragon bones or dragon tails coming out of the water because there's all this jagged purple rock coming out. Really, really interesting. It's like nothing I've ever seen anywhere else. And then the cream or the cream of the crop right at the top, cherry on top, is Tickle Cove itself. Tickle Cove has a sea arch in there that is, you know, I like to say is a hidden treasure, but I think it's becoming more and more well known. What a beautiful spot. I mean, when the waves are up, you do like a long exposure there, of the water coming in through the archway and that purple rock with that contrast. It's just, yeah, I never get sick of it. And you were talking about how you bring people somewhere for the first time, like at John Cable Cove, and you look at that look on their face when they see it. That's that's my Tickle Cove. Like when I bring people out there for the first time, and you just come over that little rise, and they see the arch, and then you get over to the viewing area, and this is like, holy cow! Like it's absolutely world class. Never get sick of it. There's always a good photo down there. Highly recommend if you're in the area to visit or book a tour with us, and we'll take you there.
for sure. Uh, yeah, I went there last year by myself just to see if I get a good picture of the sunset. And I must say, I finally got one I really like. Could you guess the starburst coming through the arch?
Right.
Was
Yeah.
it was really cool. That was the worth the trip. The Bonavista itself was that sure.
100%. Yeah. No, it's like I said, it's absolutely magical. It's one of those spots that I never get sick of going. And it's just, just a nice place to be. You can't see any buildings or anything anywhere. You're there. Feels like you're apart from everything there. And it's just, yeah. Yeah. Very special. That's why it's my number one.
And it's not overpopulated either. There's not like big crowds go there, so you usually got a place kind of.
Population of Tickle Cove in the winter, I think, is about 12 or 13 people. It goes up to about 30 or 40 people in the summer. Yeah.
Um,
Take a tour through this land's incredible vistas, wildlife, and your own creativity with an immersive guided photography tour. Get that perfect shot. Newfoundland Photo Tours. Book your tour today.
all right, so my number one, without a doubt, is the Torngat Mountains in Labrador.
Yeah.
That was a place pretty much changed my life pretty much because prior to photography, I was doing IT things. And I went there, and when I got back from being up there, flying around the helicopter in the Torngat Mountains and glaciers and being up on top of mountains and Salvage Fjord in itself was totally mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like I said, well, I'll try to get some of those pictures up on YouTube if anyone wants to see it. But it's really hard to get there and it's expensive, unfortunately, so far away. But definitely, like I said, it changed me and put me down the road of photography and, you know, and showing
So
people what we have here, sort of thing.
quick little pat on the back for Michael here, because I know he's probably too modest to talk about himself, but wasn't the shot of Torngat Mountains featured on was that Torngat that was featured on the Canada Post stamp?
Yeah, that's the recent one. And
Yeah.
Torngat
Yeah.
Mountains of Salvage Fjord.
So recent one, that means there's been more than one of your works featured on a Canada Post stamp, right?
I have one there, the iceberg in Fairyland there a few years ago before that.
Yeah.
But the funny story about that is I had a history with Canada Post before, and the series is called Far and Wide. So they asked me another picture, and he had some other ideas, and I said, "Yeah, but if you really want something to show for far and wide, there's no place that's further or wider than the Torngat."
Yeah.
So
That's one you should try to get that photo up, Mike, the one that was on the stamp, because that is a spectacular photo.
thanks. But like I said, it's one of those magical places that you go and you're walking somewhere. Chances are you might be the first person that ever walked in that area just because it's so remote. Because you got to go first, you fly in like the Goose Bay, and then you fly into airstrip, take a boat. Then when you're there, you get a helicopter ride to different places. Well, we did. You're just in this remote location where no one actually can ever go. It totally changed everything to do or trip.
Besides landscape, there's good wildlife opportunity there too, isn't that?
Polar bears is up there,
Yeah.
black bears, and you got anytime you go anywhere, that needs a bear guard and stuff to make sure you don't get eaten.
Important, yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
and Northern
Back
Light as well. And every night, Northern Lights, last night, it's and the stars. And it's just one of those places that once you go, I think it changes you basically.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those, yeah, fundamental changes to who you are, right? Yeah.
It captures your soul and spirit, or whatever. And
100%. That's, it's on a lesser grand scale, but that's how I felt again in Tickle Cove. And I often said, that's where my soul lives is Tickle Cove.
Right.
If ever I'm feeling a little bit down or whatever, that's the place where I head because it's, instant pickup and just, yeah, beautiful spot.
well, that's what I find even photography. And the fortunate thing is, time you're down, you can go out and take a picture of these landscapes. It's
Yep.
just you. You're not in the big crowds like in other locations. I say in Iceland, where that big mountain is too, where you're fighting for a place for a tripod and there's 20 photographers waiting for that one shot. Chances are you're the only one there. and
Yeah.
you got the whole landscape to yourself. It just
Like even very popular spots like Cape Spear, like I've never run into it going out there in the morning and having to jostle around to, to get a shot. It's one of the benefits of being in a low populated place that, all these places are like your own little private playground to shoot in when you go there. We're very fortunate.
and everyone here too is friendly. Like I don't know how many times I've been in the back of someone's backyard taking pictures, and they'll just come out and say,
Yep,
"How's it going?" And they'll come out
yep.
and chat with you rather than saying, "Hey, you're on my land, you gotta get off." It's like none of that. It's just like I come out and chat and all that good stuff too, right? So it's
And
all
they'll
friendly.
tell you a better spot. It's,
Oh, yeah, oh,
like
yeah,
you find that out a lot too. They'll
yeah,
say, "Oh yeah, we see a lot of people take photos of this, but if you take that dirt road back near a couple of
yeah.
kilometers, drive right to the end, then you'll see this or that," right? So
Oh,
it's
the
fantastic. Yeah.
funny is that a lot of the problems we're talking to locals is like they're too helpful and you got like a million places where other places you can go where you just try to
Yeah, yeah, add it to the list. I get asked that all the time. Do you have any photos from such and such a place, right? I said, no, but it's on the list. And if I had to hit everywhere that's on my list now, I'm going to have to live to be about 150 years old, I think.
Well, again, just I guess kind of filling up here is not that these are better than other places. It's just
Right.
our personal experiences that or have seen and photographed. But there's so many places on Newfoundland Island. Like
Yeah.
we could talk for a week and go around every community and what's what. Like looking at it now, this is our longest podcast, and we could keep
Yep.
going for another hour. Just talk about how many
Easy.
beautiful locations that we never even talked about that'll blow your mind.
What's interesting is that you and I, we had one, maybe two overlaps of places that we like to go photograph. And if we had another photographer here talking about their favorite places, that'd be another list where there'd be very few overlaps. Like I think everybody has their top 10 or their favorites. And while yes, there's going to be some that are overlap, there's going to be places that we wouldn't think of ourselves that some other photographer might say, oh, and we're like, oh yeah. Like I was thinking you were talking about Fogo Island, and I automatically talking about Change Islands right next to Fogo Island, right? Which is a fantastic spot to go for photography.
Change Islands to see.
Yeah.
No, I did not like Trinity and the big hiking trail, the sharing trail
Right.
around there.
Yeah.
Fairyland. It's
Pooch
just
Cove,
so
like in around Pooch
trouble.
Cove, that area, right?
Right,
Just
rock, Norco, Windows
yeah.
Rock.
Well,
Like,
it's like I said, like I said earlier, you can drive down any road
old,
and you're going to come up with something that's spectacular. I feel.
old Perlican, Fer de Lis, when the icebergs and stuff was up there too, and Northern Peninsula. I would never even mention that. That's a beautiful spot up there.
Well, I say I got up as far as Port of Choix, which is nowhere,
Yeah.
right? Nowhere
Beautiful.
on the Northern Peninsula. So
One of my favorite iceberg pictures in Goose Cove, right up in the
we're
top
in tip,
island, right?
the tippy tip.
And that's where you
Yeah.
might get a chance to see some polar bears in the spring when it comes in too. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah,
we're just blessed here with all that stuff.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. All treasures. So
Yeah. Well, we always kind of forget to mention who's describing. I don't know if you want to mention some of the stuff there.
yeah, no, absolutely. So our podcast, besides being on YouTube, where you get to look at our pretty faces while we talk, make sure to click subscribe there. But we're also on wherever you find your favorite podcast. You go to Spotify or your Apple podcast list. Make sure you click subscribe so you get notification. We're trying to do these things at least, once a week or so. We'd love to have you tune in, and we'd love to hear back from you too, and give us some ideas that you'd like to hear us talk about for future podcasts as well. So feel free to reach out and let us know what you'd like us to be talking about, and we'll be happy to talk about it.
So I think next week we're actually going to get maybe a birder in. Is that talk about birding in Newfoundland? Chances are, like I said, we're going to see if we get a guest come in here with us. So as we sign off here from the rock, keep your eyes on the horizon and your heart in the flight.
See you next time.
All of it.